Hey everyone, and welcome back to another news alert. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and thank you so much for tuning into Boyd News. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more updates like this. And feel free to support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee. Links are in the description below the video. Alright, so I'm back with another update regarding Venezuela. We just talked about reports yesterday that the US was allegedly preparing to strike Venezuelan military targets, but soon after those reports were shot down by US President Donald Trump, who refuted those claims as false reporting. Now we have new information coming out today that troop estimates deployed in the Caribbean indicate a pretty sizable force off Venezuela's coast. Here's the new update for you here on your screen. And it says U.S. military buildup reaches 16,000 troops off the coast of Venezuela. The large scale military deployment includes 8 warships, a nuclear submarine, a B 52 strategic bomber, F 35 fighter jets, and the Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier with its escort. So it's looking highly likely more and more every day that the U.S. is going to carry out some sort of military action inside of Venezuela. 16,000 troops on top of all these naval assets, all these aircraft being deployed down here. Something is about to go down, and supposedly the U.S. is claiming the major reason why all these troops are deployed down here is to stop drug flows coming out of Venezuela into the United States. So let me know if you think that's the case, or do you think there's a bigger story or plan behind this action? There's a whole lot of talk about trying to overthrow the Maduro regime over there and take him out of power. Obviously, there's a bounty on his head for $50 million coming out of the United States. So, insane story. We'll talk about this in just a moment. I'll give you guys more details on these troops that have been deployed over here. We also have another story we will share with you regarding a Russian military transport plane that arrived in Venezuela today. After yesterday, we had stories coming out that the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, was pleading for Vladimir Putin's help, calling for military support. Yeah, that's some big news too. We will discuss that story towards the end of this video after we talk about this topic of 16,000 troops deployed off the coast of Venezuela. Let's go ahead and hop into this. We're going to jump on over to a mainstream news report from Caliber, and it says, citing the Washington Post, U.S. military buildup in Caribbean grows to estimated 16,000 troops. This just coming out today on November 1st, 2025. You can see the date right here. And it says the United States has deployed an estimated 16,000 military personnel, including 10,000 troops and 6,000 sailors, along with a formidable array of naval and air assets to the Caribbean, in what defense analysts say could mark the largest U.S. buildup in the region in years. The growing presence comes amid rising tensions between Washington and Caracas and renewed speculation about potential military action against Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's government, the Washington Post writes in its military report. According to Pentagon data, U.S. forces in the Caribbean currently include 8 Navy warships, a special operations vessel, and a nuclear-powered attack submarine. The deployment will expand further next week with the arrival of aircraft carrier USS Gerald R. Ford, accompanied by 3 additional warships and more than 4,000 troops. Just wanted to correct myself on this. I think yesterday I stated that the USS Gerald Ford is already there. Apparently it is not. It's supposed to be arriving next week, so I do apologize for that. And it says satellite imagery analyzed by the Washington Post also shows that the Pentagon has flown bombers along Venezuela's coastline and positioned advanced assets at regional U.S. bases, including F 35 fighter jets now stationed in Puerto Rico. The personnel count does not include additional forces based there. President Donald Trump has signaled plans for increased operations targeting Maduro's regime, though when asked on October 31st if he was considering direct military strikes inside Venezuela, he replied no. The Pentagon has acknowledged conducting more than a dozen strikes on alleged drug smuggling boats in recent months, resulting in at least 61 deaths in September. However, analysts suggest the scale of the buildup far exceeds what would typically be required for counter-narcotics operations. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. 16,000 troops. There's no way this is just for counter-narcotics operations. This got to be potentially even an invasion force. I mean, there's been some reports that there's going to be some sort of land operation. So are we going to see something on the ground here where troops are going to be going into Venezuela? We're not sure yet, but it looks highly likely, at least the beginning, will be some sort of aerial attack from the United States. And it says, from the beginning, the Pentagon's buildup in the Caribbean has far exceeded what was needed for a counter-narcotics operation, suggesting the mission was always set to evolve, said Ryan Berg, director of the Americas program at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Berg added that the arrival of the Gerald R. Ford could mark a critical turning point. The completion for these vessels is tremendous, he said. Once the Ford arrives in the Caribbean next week, it's going to start a clock ticking, and Trump will have about a month or so to make a major decision on a strike before he has to move the vessel elsewhere. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. As soon as next week, when this Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier arrives over there, that's possibly when we could see some strikes. So sometime between next week and the next month, probably by the end of November, we're going to see some sort of action take place over here. And again, I think it's going to be some sort of aerial strike campaign onto Venezuela. But we'll just have to see how things go. Now we're going to jump and on over to X, switch gears for a moment. Let me show you this other story that came out today. Vicegrad 24, and it says a Russian Ilyushin 76 military transport plane linked to the Wagner Group, or Wagner Group, however you want to pronounce that, has landed in Venezuela. According to Defense News, the Ilyushin 76 is operated by Aviacon Zitotrans, a company sanctioned by the U.S., Canada, and Ukraine for its ties to Russian military structures, including repeated deliveries of equipment to regions where Wagner mercenaries operate. The aircraft's arrival came shortly after Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro appealed to Russia, China, and Iran for increased military support amid growing U.S. activity in the Caribbean, as reported by U.S. media yesterday. According to the outlet, the flight is seen as Moscow's attempt to expand its military presence in Latin America. So it looks like the calls from Nicolas Maduro to Vladimir Putin were received, as what we're seeing here looks like a Russian military transport plane sent something into Venezuela. It came over here from Mauritania, if I'm saying that right, which is going to be a nation in Western Africa. And it flew all the way over here to Venezuela, I believe to Caracas, and dropped off something over there. Now, we don't know exactly what it was. Maybe they sent some air defense equipment or something over there to help Venezuela out, as clearly very soon the U.S. could be carrying out some sort of strikes over there. This was another picture from OFAC, which is the Office of Foreign Assets Control. This is directly out of the U.S. Treasury, and this is a sanctions list search website, so you can kind of check to see if any of these aircraft or anything are sanctioned, and this one is sanctioned by the U.S., the aircraft tail number RA78765. So apparently this plane that came from Africa is sanctioned by the U.S. in connections to Russia's Wagner Group, or Wagner Group over there, that operates inside of Africa, and dropped something off over there. So let me know what you think, what they brought in. I'm thinking most likely some sort of air defense equipment or something like that. But you guys can speculate and let me know what you think is going to happen over here. But it looks like Russia is helping out Venezuela, sending some equipment to get ready for some sort of possible attack from the United States. So guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in for today's update. Let me know what you think about all these details down below in the comment section. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell, that way YouTube can notify you. With that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.